And that mentality is hard to understand, and I want to shed a little bit of light on that mentality. And do that through some personal accounts of what happened at Unit 731. And that's from this other book. It's called Unit 731 Testimony. And let's go to this book. And I think these make it pretty clear where this mentality comes from. So this account is from a captain in the Japanese Imperial Army named Kojima Takeo. And here we go. Perhaps there are some people here. And by the way, most of these accounts are from an exhibition that went around Japan kind of explaining what happened, and people would come to this exhibition and they would capture if someone was involved in Unit 731 or someone remembered or someone had a story about it, they would capture their account. And that's what this book has a lot of from this this exhibition that they did. I think it was in the mid 1990s that they did this exhibition. So this particular person that showed up at this exhibition, he was a captain in the Japanese Army. His name was Kojima Takeo. And here's what he said. Perhaps there are some people here at this Unit 731 exhibition who think that this was all there was to Japanese aggression at the time. Unit 731 was merely one segment of the dark shadow of Japan's aggression, and I would like to tell of my experience in this. And I think this is why I pulled this one specifically, because this talks about where this came from, where this mentality came from that Ishii had to the end. We were born and raised in a society of empirism. A person's absolute responsibility above the army and government was to the emperor. The emperor was a living deity. The emperor's command was supreme and controlled the entire country. We were told how we must serve the emperor, how we should behave toward our parents, how we should behave toward our teachers, and how we should behave toward our siblings. We were taught that Japan is a sacred country, that the people of Japan are a superior race, that the people of China, Korea, Southeast Asia, and Russia were all inferior races, and the superior race must govern them. And by doing so, we would bring them happiness. This was the cause to which Japan must devote itself. And he goes on again. I'm not reading the entire thing, but you have to get the book to get these entire accounts. Soon after we went into service, we were given training to get our courage up. We were ordered to watch beheadings. Chinese were made to sit by a hole in the ground, and the seasoned soldiers would cut their heads off. Blood spurted up from the neck into the air, and the bodies would roll into the holes. Then we had bayonet practice. Victims had their hands tied behind them around a tree and were used as bayonet targets. We had to watch this as part of our training. This was a shock to me, and for 2 or 3 days, food would not pass through my throat. But 2 years later, I became an officer in charge of a platoon and with about 25 men under me. Later, I became a company commander with 151 men, and that meant that if I didn't build a strong platoon and a strong company, I would fall behind. And so I, too, tested the courage of the soldiers under me by using Chinese prisoners. This was normal training in the Japanese army. When we were not involved in major operations, we would go out into our own immediate area on continuous 3-day operations to see if there were any enemy around. On such occasions, we stole, tortured, and slaughtered people. The Chinese had a saying about us that Japan had a 3-way complete policy: burned completely, killed completely, and pillaged completely. Yet when we were doing those things, we had no sense of guilt or of doing anything wrong. It was for the emperor, for the country. So that's how they're raised. And that's how you end up with someone like Ishii that goes through all that and still remains loyal, even after defeat, still remains loyal to the deposed emperor.